Good morning, grade 8s. Welcome back to social on this probably Monday morning, whenever you're watching it. We are going to start in social to learn about resource distribution in Canada. And this is Unit 4. We're going to answer these big questions. Number 1, what are the consequences of our consumer choices? Consumer means people who buy things. Number 2, how does consumerism affect society and the environment? And number 3, how are Canadians doing with environmental issues? Of course, with supplemental learning, we're not going to delve too deeply into each of these topics, but we're going to cover a few of their highlights. This map of Canada underneath is kind of interesting. It's not necessarily about consumer products, it's about the use of our land, which relates a lot to what we make, our resources, and what we could buy locally, I guess. Look at here in Saskatchewan. You can see that, I'm going to grab my crayon. You can see here in Saskatchewan, we've got a lot of the yellow, which is wheat, and also cereal crop and livestock around here. Of course, that goes into Alberta as well. We've got general farming here and livestock again. Not too much dairy, but that is in Saskatchewan as well. We've got pasture land. You can see the forests and the forestation. That's a huge resource. And of course, this is just on top of the land. Canada has resources of potash and oil that are underneath the land. Interesting map. Okay, let's move on to slide 2. So talking about resource distribution in Canada, part A asks how purchasing patterns affect our community. And we're going to look at that. Have you ever considered how cereal is made? Who helps with the making of a box of cereal? A couple of things are probably crossing your mind. I think it's pretty normal for us Saskatchewanians to remember the farmers. They make cornflakes, all the wheat that goes into different types of cereals. But let's think about it. We're going to go through the next slides quite quickly and be considering all these steps, because your assignment at the end of this is going to be kind of similar to this. So let's think about boxes of cereal. First, of course, we've got the grain producers: oats, rye, wheat, corn, etc. That includes the farmers and all the many manufacturers that build their machines. It includes the people that they hire to work for them. It includes fertilizer, chemicals, the people who spray for them if they don't do their own. Huge industry in itself. We process the grains, so including the truck drivers that drive from the farm to the processing plant or wherever it's being sold, and the grain is cleaned, ground up. There's additives in all the cereal boxes, which are companies in themselves. There's the addition to cereal, the nuts, the raisins, those are all factories in and of themselves. Then we've got these factories, and again, the processing line, the people that work here, the people that manufacture these machines. We've got taste and quality control, the people who actually do the tasting and do the research into the health of it, etc. The box that it goes into. Someone who works in a cardboard company has created, or probably not the person who works in the cardboard company, but there'll be a designer who's created this type of box that then gets forwarded to the cardboard company to make the box for them. We've got people involved with the cereal box psychology. What will make us want to buy that cereal? Look at that little boy in the picture. His his brain is being captivated by the Captain Crunch box. So many people have gone into just what color is the box? What target age are you hoping that will eat this cereal? That's who we need to appease to. Of course, the printing and the packaging of that box. We've got the inside packaging, the wax paper, the foil. We've got the factory that then puts it in the box. The sealers, they quality check each one of them. Then the machines put them into cases. Then the forklifts carry these crates of many cases that will be shipped somewhere. Then, of course, the shipping, who brings it to the warehouse and then distributes it to our store in Watrous. We've also got the people that work at Co-op and other grocery stores that stock shelves, that ring it through. And then it comes to us. You know you want it, don't you? What kind of cereal do you eat for breakfast? I eat cornflakes almost every morning. It's my favorite. We've also got advertising and cartoons. So people who create these advertisements, who manage the business side of that, of other companies that want to advertise on the cereal box. There's people that make the games up that sometimes are on cereal boxes. And of course, this was a highlight when I was a child. I don't know if you get free things at the bottom of cereal boxes anymore, but I always wanted to be the first one to open the box because the first one got to dig to the bottom and get the prize. Usually a small toy, sometimes maybe a stick of gum. Yeah, exciting. So just that, was there 20 different slides here about the making of cereal? Crazy. And maybe initially when we thought of farmers and factory for a box of cereal, maybe some of these different ideas or different parts of this process popped into your mind, but certainly probably not all of them. We call this whole process the supply chain for a box of cereal, from, we say, farm or field to your table. The supply chain from manufacturing to shelf. It has three, we categorize these parts of the supply chain into three different sectors or different parts. First, there's the primary. Prime, we talked about in class, means first, right? Like the Prime Minister. This is the raw materials, the people that provide the raw oats, the wheat, the raisins, the nuts, the oil. Here also coal, so not just edible things, coal, food stocks. Some raw materials are sold immediately for consumption, such as coal to power stations. Others are used further up the supply chain. There's also the secondary sector or part of the supply chain. These are industries to make and build and assemble the products. They include car manufacturers or bakers who use primary products. For example, Kellogg's purchases rice for Rice Krispies or corn for cornflakes. Then there's the tertiary sector. Tertiary means third. These industries do not produce goods. They provide the services such as banking, retailing, leisure industries, or transport. You can read more of that down here if you want to dig into it closer. Let's write down what the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary sectors are for the box of cornflakes. Okay, so your assignment for this section, number 1, when you open up the Google Classroom, you're going to see a whole list of 5 questions from Our Democracy game, and you just answer them. It's multiple choice, so that'll go quickly. And then you're going to see one assignment to open up with this assignment on it. Where does this actually come from? Assignment. You're going to choose a product from your kitchen, okay, to investigate where it actually comes from. So I'm going to take you into my kitchen here. I've set a few examples out. Red pepper flakes, eggs, orange juice, carrots, maybe honey, or like we're having tonight, which I'm sure the kids aren't too happy about, are these actual big fish. They're pretty frozen still. There, you can get a better look on that side. Some ideas. Open up your cupboards or your fridge and see what you can find to investigate its supply chain. Number 2, then, you're going to investigate where that product actually comes from. And you can do this by watching one of the, if you chose one of the products I suggested, I've attached all those good videos. I found them on YouTube and they're about 3 minutes each. Lots of times if you search from farm to table and then say the product you're talking about, you'll get a good video to watch. Watch the ones I have and then you'll know what kind you could find about your own product. Or you can also choose a product that I've suggested that is the videos right there. Number 3 then, the assignment is this Google slide is attached. You can open it, and I have already created some slides for you to use with a title page where you'll follow the directions there. And then 10 slides. I would like you on those next 10 slides to find 10 different parts of the supply chain for that product that you chose. And I'd like you also on that page to list whether that is a primary, secondary, or tertiary sector of the supply chain of that product. You can open up the notes that we went through to look at that again, and I've also included those notes on the Google slides for you to read over. And then at the very end, there's questions for you to answer about your product. Now remember, you can dress up each slide. I've put a theme on the slideshow, but you can dress it up, change the theme, add pictures for each part of the supply chain if you'd like. Make it look nice. Okay? Okay. So remember, if you have any questions about this or anything else that you're wondering about the social class, you can text me or message me on Google or the email. And if you ever just need to chat, feel free also to do that via those methods as well. Okay, have a great week, grade 8s, and I'm very much looking forward to watching what you come up with here.